Hello, this is Craig Mertens. I am the General Manager of GraphicsFlow. Welcome to Decorator Academy, sponsored by GraphicsFlow. This is our weekly education program where we tackle some of the tough challenges that are faced by apparel decorators and people involved in personalization in the industry, and also give you new ideas on how to grow your business and operate more efficiently. And I think one of the things that I've learned in, BC is before COVID, is that your time is more valuable these days. People have kind of had more of an open mind about technology. I think a lot of that is, kind of getting forced into, purchasing online and forced into all the like Zoom and Google Meet. I was never a big Zoom or Google Meet person, BC. I definitely wasn't. And now like I prefer to do it for business meetings. It's great. I can get on a quick business meeting like what I'm doing with you guys right now. We can look each other in the eyes if you were sharing your screens, and we can have a conversation. And technology is all designed to speed things along. And one of the things that we're going to use right now is we're going to use some technology to speed along the decision making process for a customer. And I want to talk about artwork specifically, and I want to talk about retail trends specifically. And so when people are making a decision as to what kind of products they're going to be purchasing, and when they're looking at vendors, there's two kind of approaches, so to speak. Approach number one would be the logos on stuff approach. The company already has their logo. This is our logo. The company already has their logo. They're going to be doing a logo where they're going to be producing a kind of a branded product line with the different graphics from the organization on a variety of products. That's one thing. And unfortunately, when you're kind of focused on the logo wear and what I call logos on stuff, they can shop you. I mean, there's anybody can take our logo. Now this is stylized a little bit. I don't know, left chest here. It's got a weathered effect on it, and there's a little like a splatter print, but it's still our logo, right? So anybody can reproduce that. They can go to one of the big online promotional products, superstores, place an order, and boom, they're going. So what is it really that you're adding to the equation? And one of the things that I've seen personally, talking to promotional product distributors, those are the folks that distribute, promotional products. They're not typically doing productions, although some do. They're kind of all scratching their heads going, wow, man, a lot of people are just shopping online, and what am I really adding to the equation? Well, one of the things you can add to the equation is graphics, right? If you think about doing an apparel graphics program for a small business or a school, people are very tuned in to what's going on in the marketplace as far as graphical trends. And so if you can create graphics that are built around the name of the business and maybe their location, their foundation year, even incorporating their colors or imagery from the industry they're in, and you can create more of a branded look for a company, a couple really positive things are going to happen. Number one, guess what? They'll sell more. If you set up a web store for that client, they're going to sell more because their products look cooler, right? Versus their logo. Number two is you've established yourself as an asset to your customer, and they're leaning on you for creativity. I just talked to my client Allison yesterday. We had a nice meeting, and we were talking about how she built her business, and she knows how to navigate the ins and outs of the school market and the official channels and things of that nature. And she says, Craig, the reason people stick with me is I just give them good ideas. They just learn to rely on me for good ideas. If we're going to come up with a graphics program for a group or a fundraising thing, we're just going to have cool looking things. And I mean, she says, frankly, I just take your artwork and tweak it out and take all the credit for it. And I was like, hey, you know what, Allison? That's what we intended you to do. We don't need any of the credit. You are welcome to lean on us and create cool looking things and take 100% of the credit, because that's why we're here, right? So when you're dealing with that corporate world, trying to create branding promotions based on popular retail trends, so your artwork looks good. If you look at the screen, these are not company logos. These are graphics that are incorporating the names of businesses. This isn't the business logo. This is that old school retro. This is a gas station sign look. What's the best way to call it? It's that retro gas station line look. So where did this artwork come from? Like where did it originate? So this artwork originated from our graphic design team. We go out and do all this extensive research. We hit all the major websites that are selling, quote, merch. If you don't know what merch is, that's branded merchandise. We are going to, websites like Forever 21. We are hitting Nike, Reebok, Adidas, all the the popular type Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're hitting all these websites and we're seeing what they're actually doing for graphics, and we're trying to identify trends in fonts, trying to identify trends in color, trends in style, graphical elements, imprint types, all of those things. And once we identify some of the trends, what we do is we create what's called a mood board. And a mood board is basically just like a working scrapbook of ideas. And so we can kind of see how things collectively work. And then we identify the trends that we want to design into, and we actually design into those trends. And if we need to do new fonts to do that, we'll do some new fonts. If we need to do new clip art to do that with a specific style, we'll do that. So we're operating as a graphic design team, almost like if we were a screen printing company or an apparel decoration company, except when we create these graphics, instead of selling them to the end user, we're selling them to you guys, who in turn customize them and sell them to the end user. So what you're seeing here on the screen, this is a graphics collection. This is called Graphics Builder, and this is a product that's assembled as part of a kit. There's my coworker there chiming in. This is assembled as a kit. And what do I mean by a kit? When I'm talking about a kit, in order to create these graphics, the components that we need are, we're going to need to have clip art, we need to have fonts, we need to have a general layout. Looks like the Amazon man is here, so hopefully that will pass. That's probably my new bike tires, so that's exciting. That's what I'll be doing this afternoon. So this is kind of a beer label look. So we would qualify that as a label or a patch look. It has a font. It has graphical elements. It has very specific colors, kind of an earthy look to it. And this same design is basically different elements from the same design, but utilizing different compositions, right? So this is actually a lot of this, like the font, this is the same font in here, different clip art. And there's another additional graphical element. This is more of an oval design, but it's the same basic shape across, 3 different interpretations of that design. And so when we say a kit, we need to have the fonts and the clip art and the design elements. You put them all together, guess what you have? You have a kit. Cool. So when we build these kits, one of the things that we do is we also build all of the textures that we might need in order to do weathered looks. So that's a mud crackle look there. It's kind of fun. All the fonts that we are going to need in order to create those templates, we include those because you might decide to use these independently. All the graphical elements that were utilized in that particular design, all of the clip art that was utilized in that design as well. And so if you want to create your own completely original, unique designs, and you just happen to like an element like these wheat leaves here, boom, have at it. You've got all the tools, or you just need a great paintbrush or a wrench because you're doing a more of a trade-oriented type graphic. So that's what we mean by a kit. And so what do you need to supply as a user of this kit? You have to supply the vision, and to a certain degree of creativity. Now, here's the thing. You could just be, I don't know if you want to call it lazy or if you want to call it efficient, you're able to do that. What you're going to be doing is going in and maybe just localizing that and changing the text and maybe changing the clip art. You can do that and you can still create an absolutely awesome design. Not an issue to do that. But if you start parting them out and combining them, then you can create something really truly unique and special. And that's what we advocate. That's how we advocate using these kits. And it was interesting. I was talking to a client a while back, and we were talking specifically about Graphics Builder in this series. And she was saying, you know what I love about this? And she goes, I would go out and do that research. I would go and hunt down ideas and scour the internet looking for inspiration and ideas. But you guys do that for me. And I go, yeah, because that's part of our process. And so before we start any of this, we have to do that research. We can't just guess what's going on. We have to do that research. And so if you want to know what's happening in current retail graphic trends, looking at the current version of Graphics Builder is probably going to give you a pretty big clue. And bear in mind, this particular collection is really geared towards like kind of the corporate world. And we did something a little bit different in this one that I'm actually really kind of happy about. We had gotten a lot of requests from our clients for doing things that were more related to workers and specifically union type things. And one of my clients is like, you got, that's a big part of our business, and you guys just don't have a lot of that kind of content. I'm like, well, let's fix that. And so we went in and did, I think, some really good, solid looks on both trades, but also, the trade unions and things of that nature. And a lot of times the trade union type artwork will have like patriotic type themes to it as well. So, you've got the flags working in here. One that I really, really liked that I thought turned out pretty stellar, just that simple union made label look. That's just a classic, timeless look, whether you're doing it as a print on a promotional item, like a mug or a tumbler, or you're utilizing it in the context of a t-shirt or even an embroidery file for, a baseball cap. So that's Graphics Builder 19. This is the second newest one. And then the newest one is 20. And 20 is a little bit different because 20 is incorporated into the more like the school kind of world, schools, teams, and sports. And there's an artistry to simple, clean looks. And so what we tried to accomplish in this collection, and I think we did a really nice job, was creating that streamlined, clean look that you would, be inspired by Nike, Adidas, Reebok, Under Armour, that kind of a look. And I think we did a really nice job with that, because more is not always better. And in the sports and athletic world, these clean, simplified looks are actually very popular. And then we also dipped into some of these retro looks, like that's kind of fun with the pennant design in there. Color blocking is a big thing right now. So where you have a design that is divided by color, and it creates kind of a what we'd call a split design. Split designs are really popular. Roster shirts, simple, clean, athletic font, collegiate text effect, nice mascot, and then on the back we do the roster. And so pick your poison. This on the front, that on the front, but this is on the back. And I'd probably go this and this. It'd be my inclination. So deep retro, retro clip art. It's difficult drawing retro clip art. To be honest with you, our artists like drive me nuts on that, because they're always like, what does retro mean to you? And I'm like, it means it looks old. And it says, well, like how old? I mean, you talking 1932 PE uniform old, or you talking 1950s? And I go, well, I know what retro looks like when I see it. Well, that's definitely retro. That helmet is certainly retro. So there's some folks might call it vintage. This is a very much a retro look too, but this is like a 1970s retro look with the multicolor, the way that font is repeating. Was a very 1970s trend. That really clean athletic look again with some shadowing, another roster shirt. So you guys are getting the general idea of a repeat pattern with the text repeat pattern. So you kind of get the idea of what we're doing. One that was kind of hilarious to me was, see, we'll scrunch along. If you've ever been on the addictive social media app, TikTok, what their logo has kind of a 3D effect. And so we replicated that 3D effect of the TikTok logo here. So there you go. So retail trends. So doing that research, understanding what's going on in the marketplace is a critical component of emulating retail graphic trends. You have to know what's going on. And so the way we do that is by virtue of utilizing our research team and our graphic design team to produce like these collections. It's a good way to put it. So I'm gonna go ahead and close my screen because we're actually gonna do some projects now. And so I'm gonna go ahead and close my video so you can see full screen. So, how do you engage a client in this? How do you get a customer, quote, on the hook? Well, there's a couple different ways to do it. And way number one, you could certainly send them to your website. If you have a gallery of imagery on your website, you could certainly send them to a website to do that. That's not a bad way to do it, but not everybody has that level of sophistication. You have a showroom. They can come into your showroom. They can, look at printed samples or flip through catalogs. That's a way of doing it. Another way of doing it is making actual sales calls, where you're physically going out into a customer's working environment. You are dragging samples with you. Maybe you bring your laptop and you're showing them ideas. I don't think you need to do that anymore. I think you can do this all utilizing technology. And the reason I would advocate using technology to do it is because it's more efficient. You can reach more people in a shorter period of time. So two ways that I would go about getting these ideas in front of a customer. Number one, I want to establish myself as a creative resource to them. So I don't want to be that logos on stuff person to the client. So I want to establish myself as a creative resource. So I might choose to do a Zoom meeting with them and say, hey, let me show you some ideas on what's popular. We're basically doing a virtual showroom. And then what I might do is after we're done concluded with that, I might send them, I'm going to send you 7 or 8 or 10 different designs to look at. Tell me what you're interested in. That would be one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is self-service, right? If you have an online design app, you could send them to your online design app. I don't know that everyone's comfortable designing on their own. I think a majority of your clients probably prefer not to design their own stuff. I think they'd prefer to just see something kind of that's inspiring and have you do the work and mock it up. So but those are two different approaches to the same problem, right? And then the other way that you could certainly do this technology is, send them to a massive depository of graphics for apparel decoration and personalization. Let them find something they connect to, and then have you go in and modify that. So we're going to kind of play that out real quick here. And the way that you would do that would be utilizing a GraphicsFlow account would be the way that I would do that. And I don't think there's a better, more efficient way of doing it. So what I've done is I've logged into my GraphicsFlow account. And I'm in my GraphicsFlow account. Here's the little dog that you heard barking. She looks so cute, but she was not happy with the delivery man there. So one of the things I can do in my GraphicsFlow account is I can upload my own art. And when I upload my own graphics, the technology is going to create previews of all that art, so I can clearly see what's going on regardless of the file format. And so if I go in here to my designs, and I want to see artwork that I uploaded from various projects, it's pretty straightforward. Here's my examples of some files I uploaded, and here's the image previews. And I can go in here if I choose to apply Pantone colors, image type, what my production process is. I can go and apply dimensions, print location, all that. So if I wanted to use some existing artwork to get this in front of a customer, some things that I'd already modified, what I'd want to do is upload those to my GraphicsFlow account so that I could add them to an art approval. The second part you're going to see here is art approvals. And this is the way that if I wanted to curate some designs for a specific client, this is how I'd go about doing it. And so I would go in to my art approval section. I would create a new art approval. And in this case, we're going to call this patch concepts. Patches are really popular right now. I'm going to go in here and type in patch concepts. And I can put any kind of copy in here that I want to. Here are some ideas that we can use to develop a customized branding program for your company. Okay. So we're already establishing ourselves as a creative resource to them. Now, there's no artwork in here, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and add some artwork. So where that artwork come from? So it could come from my art. Maybe I have some things that I've already created that I could go in and add. That's one thing I could do. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to stock art, and instead of specifically looking by subject matter, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look by style. And so I'm going to go down here into style in my GraphicsFlow account, and I'm going to look at patch designs, and I'm just going to pick out some patch layouts that I like. And I'm not going to even concern myself with the subject matter in them at all. I'm not even remotely worried about it. Let's see, I like that one. That's a keeper. And I'm looking for ones that have kind of a different, like they're just distinctive enough that they're just a little bit different. That's a good one in there too. These are all pretty terrific actually. And we'll use this one that's got some more clip art to it. That's got a good little clip art area in it. And I'm just gonna add these. I don't know, we're getting greedy now. Oh, this chicken one's pretty cool too. So I'm just gonna add these, and let's see how many we added. I wasn't really paying that much attention, but we're just gonna add these patch concepts. And so the idea here is we're steering them, right? So we don't want them going up to the internet. We don't want them going to custom ink and designing something. We don't want them going to a Pinterest page. We don't want them looking at something on Etsy. The reason we don't want them doing those things is we don't want them finding other vendors. You know, if people are going up to the internet and they're looking at things, they're finding other vendors. And if they find that graphic, why do they need to come to you to have them do that graphic? That company where they found it, they could just go to those guys. So we do not want them sending that, going up to the internet to look for things. We want them looking at things that we're getting in front of them. And if you had printed samples that you had previously made and you took nice high resolution photography, you could include some of those in here too. And so what I might do here, if I'm getting these ideas, if I know there's one that I really like, then I kind of want to steer them into, what I would do is maybe move that one to the top. So we're gonna move that one to the top because I really like that. And I think that's the one we're gonna work on. So at this point, what we're gonna do is if we want to put any notes in here, it said this particular graphic has been very popular. I can easily work your logo into this one easily. Layout, right? So I'm just putting a little copy in there. So how do I get this in front of them? Now, in most situations, you're going to have a scenario where you have multiple people involved in the buying decision. So in a corporate situation, ultimately there's going to be one individual that's going to make the decision, but they might want to share the ideas with coworkers, right? Or we might want to add a secondary decision maker in there, but not give them the ability to approve, but maybe just make comments. So what we're going to do is we're going to invite people to this. So if I go over here and say invite collaborators, I can add an email to whoever that person is going to be. I'm just going to add an email, and then here's going to be the body of the email, and I'm just going to say, hey Greg, here are the design concepts I put together. Please comment on your favorite, and I will mock it up. Don't worry about the subject matter. I will localize it to your company. Boom. So that's an email that just went out. So they're getting that email, and this is a generic link. So this person is set up as an approver. I could add another person and demote them to commenter. And then this is a generic link. So let's take this generic link. I'm going to copy that. And for those of you that are on the live, I'm going to copy that into the chat so you can kind of follow along with the progress of this art approval. You guys can't copy because this is just a website. All I did is sent you a link to a website. You can look, you can't copy at all. You can't put a comment in, you can't approve or any of that. So customer goes in here and they see this and they like it and they say this is their favorite. This is my favorite. Let's go with this. Boom, I just got an email and it also updated me in the app, and then I can write back to them and say, sure thing, give me about 10 minutes. Okay, that's it. So we're collaborating with that customer now. And so we've established ourselves as a creative resource. They found something that they connected with. We can give them a couple different looks from this same design if we want to. And let's go over here and mock that up. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm just going to download the file. And so I have two options for downloading. If I'm an Illustrator user, I'm going to download the file into Adobe Illustrator, Mac or Windows, doesn't matter. We're going to give you all the fonts, so the fonts are already installed, so you don't have to worry about font substitutions. And then what we're going to do is we're going to ungroup the file and go in and make the changes to the text and the colors and all that stuff. If I'm a Corel user, I can do the same thing, download to Corel, but I'm using a program called Smart Designer, which is our kind of very well-known and popular add-on program to Corel. And so instead of downloading the file and opening it up into Corel, I'm just going to click on download, and it's going to download the file and it's going to pop it into CorelDRAW running Smart Designer. And this is where we're going to localize the graphic. And in this particular scenario, we're going to do, this particular company is, they're an HVAC company. And so we're going to do an HVAC kind of a theme with this. So I have the design. I want to go and modify that. Now, this particular design has a weathered overlay on it. So you guys see it has an overlay. I'm going to delete that because I'm not sure I'm going to do an overlay for this particular customer. We're going to modify it a little bit. But what I am going to do is I'm going to localize this design. And so instead of manually ungrouping and editing, we're going to do this in an interactive fashion. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to go over here and we're going to go to templates and I'm going to say edit text, and all the text is right here. So this is where all of our text is. And what we're going to do is we're going to localize it. So where it says authentic, I'm going to go in, type in Tempe, Arizona, and our Tempe, and then where it says quality goods, we're just going to go and highlight this, and we're going to say Arizona. Actually, we're going to click on that's going to be authentic and quality goods. Will be Arizona. There's that. And then since 2005, we're going to say EST. Actually, let's say this. Let's go full word established. It will do EST. It's going to be a little bit easier. EST 1966, great year. Okay, where it says over here, we're going to send that. We're going to change that to Central HVAC, HVAC. Okay, right there. And then where this copy is, they're not sure we're going to need that copy. Don't really need it. So I'm probably going to delete it. But what I do want to do is I want to replace Mr. Buffalo over here with more of an HVAC related image. Okay, so we have quite a few options, and one of those options might be their logo. So if we had their logo, this might be the place to put their logo or a graphical element from their logo. That might be the place to put it. But what we're going to do instead is I'm going to go back over to GraphicsFlow, and I'm going to go over here to clip art in my account, and I'm going to type in HVAC and see if I can find something that's going to work for me. Yeah, I got a lot of options. And sick air conditioner. I'm kind of liking this guy right here. And it's 2-color. Here's one that's a 3-color, but I want to kind of keep this down to 2-color. And I'm just going to download this file. So I'm going to say download again. I'm going to download the file. Actually, I had to change the plans. I think I like this one better, but we'll see. We'll see what it looks like. So we're going to download that file. And then we're going to replace out the Buffalo with this one. I'm not feeling it. I like the other one better. So we're going to go over here and I'm going to download this one. So this is the one I'm going to download. I'm just feeling it. I like the fact that it shows kind of airflow. It's got a good visual and it looks like a logo, right? So this could just as easily have been the company logo. And so I'm just going to take this and we're going to swap it out with the Buffalo. So copy that into the other graphic. The other thing I could do is I could download it into Smart Designer's clip art browser and go that route as well and then import it directly. So I'm just going to copy that in here, and the Buffalo is going to go out. This is going to go in here. I don't think we really need that text, so we can delete it and start to come together. Incidentally, if I want to align it, if I can just hit Shift and select both the circle and that, if I hit C, it'll center align. So we got to get the colors working. And so what we're going to do on the colors here is I'm going to come into the design and I'm going to do some editing of the colors, but I don't have to select anything. What we're going to do to edit the colors, I'm just going to go in here and say edit colors. The colors in the design are going to be displayed. And at this point, we might want to do a color reduction or some merging of colors. If I want to do a color reduction, I'm just going to click the colors that I want to keep. So maybe these colors. I'm going to hit reduce, and we're going to automatically reduce the colors. So that'd be one way of doing it. If I'm going to do a swap, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click over here and swap, and we're going to do some swapping. So the color scheme, I'm thinking here, would normally, you might want to line that up with their corporate colors, or you could do a set of colors that's kind of trendy and on brand right now. And so we'll go over here and I'm going to take this color right here and we're going to swap that out with kind of a bright blue. I know exactly what blue I want to do on this. It's going to be pretty close to a sea blue in there. So that, man, that's working. This right here, I know, controversial choice. And actually we're going to do both of these colors. Here we're going to do a controversial choice, and I'm going to do an orange, but I'm not really sure which. Or I'd really like to do a poppin' like a tangerine orange, something really poppin'. And if I was using Pantone colors, which I am, if I knew the Pantone number that I was going for, I could just go in there and do that. So I really want to use a poppin' orange in there. Yeah, it's coming together. And then where this color is right here, what am I going to use in that? I think I might just go with white in there. And so if I'm just going to, go with white, we already have Pantone white right here. So we could just click on that and do a swap, and I could just swap that into Pantone white. That's probably, honestly, it's probably the easiest way to color it. So this is starting to come together now. Now, do I want to add any, anything to this graphic to make it pop a little bit? Well, we could, because to me this seems like it's a little, depends on what we're printing it on. So if this is going to be a t-shirt, it's going to be one thing. If it's going to be embroidery or a patch or something, it's going to be something else. But we could take a look at adding a little bit of pop to this. And so what I'm going to do is in the Smart Designer software, I'm going to go and open up effects, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go to outline effects, and I'm just going to do a simple basic collegiate effect here like that. Just simple collegiate effect. I'm going to hit apply. We're going to apply that effect, see if we even like it. Yeah, I kind of like it. I do kind of like it. But we have to rethink the colors on this. And so on this one, if we're going to rethink the colors, I think I'm going to make this the same blue on the outer part. And we might try going orange on the inner letters. Oops. So we could do that. Cool. I'll show you a cool trick if you're using Corel. If you select this design, you can drag it into your document color palette, and then you can pick up the colors in here. And so if we wanted to make that, I don't know, man. I think that's the ticket right there. So this is the graphic that we created, and we might want to give them two looks. So if this is going to go purely on a t-shirt, like first of all, that design right there is misspelled. So I can see that Sentinel. So somebody would have caught that. But one of the things that we could have done here, let's go back over here and spell it correctly. Yeah, it looks good. There we go. And we'll add that effect. I don't have to know how to do all that complicated stuff on the effect, because really all I have to do is know how to go and click on it. So I'm just going to go back over here to effects. I don't really have any time invested in that, because I'm just going to take the effect and hit apply again. And then we're going to do the recoloring. And I just thought of something. What if we made that orange? And what if we made this white? I don't know. We might like it. Ah, that's cool. That's better. All right, I'm loving this now. So now we're talking. So it's a happy accident. So let's go ahead and save the file. Let's save it to a location where we know it's going to live and be happy, and we'll create a folder and call it Central Hvac. And all the collateral pieces for this design are going to go into this folder right here. And so we'll just call this Central Hvac Concept 01. Okay, so we're going to save that. Now here's the thing, I might be interested in Concept 02. In Concept 02, we might do a weathered effect on this. So that's another possibility. So I'm going to do a save as, make a copy of this, and then Concept 02 is going to have a weathered effect. So we're going to go over here, Concept 02, weathered effect. And the way that I'm going to accomplish that weathered effect is I'm going to come into Effects. I'm going to go to the Overlays Docker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select right here, I'm going to select the effect that I want. And we want this particular effect, we want this effect to be on white. And so the effect itself is going to be white, and I'm going to power clip this effect into the actual graphic. So if I click on this, it's going to be power clipped into the graphic. And I'll just go and click on the effect to see if we've, well, sometimes you just score one right out of the chute. That looks pretty terrific. And so we're just going to save that. That looks good. And then we're going to mock these up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick little mock up here on the design, and I might give them both looks. And so look number one might be the original, just the basic. And look number two might be, let's see here. I got a lot going on in this page here, don't I? All right, here we go. So look number two might be the one with the weathered effect. It's hard to say what we're going to do. And so the overall concept, did I save over the top of that? Central 02. Where's the first one? Central 01. Yeah, so the first one we're not going to do a weathered effect. So we have to decide what color we're going to put this on. And it's kind of, I think I would give the client two choices. The weathered one, I think I'm going to do like an Oxford gray, and the non-weathered one, this will look great on black, so I'm going to put it on black. And so what I'm going to do is create a quick little virtual sample, and I've got my virtual samples feature here in Smart Designer, and I've added some product blanks from some of the popular websites. In this case, it's going to be from Sanmar, and I'm just going to click on this shirt logo right here, and it's going to swap that out. And on these center front designs, you typically are going to be a little bit smaller. They're going to be a little bit of a smaller design, and I like it. So I'm going to save it, and that's going to be 01 black tea. So we got that set up, and then the other one is going to be the weathered effect. So we're going to go and do that one as the weathered effect, and that one we decided we're going to do an Oxford gray. So because I'm going to do it on Oxford gray, one of the things that I want to do is I want to go and add the overlay in the color of the shirt. And let me show you how we're going to do that. Let's make that a little bit smaller again and move it up just a little bit. And I'm going to go back to my overlays, but I'm going to use this dropper here to sample the shirt color. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the overlay in the color of the shirt. So we're going to use that same texture there, but it's now in the shirt color. So if we look at the overlay, it's matching the shirt, and that does look pretty. That's the one right there. I think that's the one they'd go with. And they might, the thing is, they might change their mind, and they might choose to do this in combination of the two. Maybe do the black one with the weathered overlaid. So there we go. So this is it. And then just for grins, we want them thinking of us in terms of other products. We could do a UV print on, like a water bottle, or we could do, I could convert this to embroidery and do a cap, but I think what I'm going to do is just going to put it on a bottle. Why not? I'm just going to go to my hydration category, and we're going to put on a white tumbler. See what I bet you it looks great. Yeah, it looks awesome. Probably a little bit smaller on a tumbler. So we're creating a group of products that is creating some synergy between them. So we're going to go down here and we're going to save this as our tumbler concept. Tumbler. All right. Rumbler works too. So don't have to necessarily spell it right, but it doesn't hurt. Okay, so I've saved this right now. So I have all these files saved. They're all the original production files, all the CorelDRAW files that are associated with this. Now, if we want to create an experience for them to look at this in the web, what we want to do is we want to save these as PNG files with the background knocked out. And the reason for that is the preview of a PNG file is higher resolution than the preview of a CDR file. And it's super easy to do this. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to export the art to that same folder. And I think, is that the right folder? Yep. And I'm just going to export it as a PNG file. Make sure transparent background is selected. And so I have two versions of the file. I've got the one for proofing and one for, showing the client. The other one, that's the actual file we're going to print off of. And that might be us printing internally, or it might be us sending it to a transfer company, or it might be, I think this has got to be just a little bigger. Just a tad bigger. Or me, maybe I have a direct to garment printer. So it really comes down to process. But the overall overreaching kind of guiding principle here is we want to give them a few choices, and we want to establish with them that we're the company that's going to meet their needs. If we asked them what they wanted, we gave them some ideas, they found a look, we localized that look for them specifically, and this is how you get customers. And how many businesses in our industry are willing to do this? Not enough. I got to tell you, if you're competing against a company that does this, you're going to have a hard time. I can tell you the reason I know that. Here's why I know that. Because when I was a manufacturer's representative for 10 years and I was doing this, we had a big old art department. We had 22 people in our art department. So before I would even go and meet with the client in person, we would be taking our designs from our collegiate line, and I would go into Colorado State University, and we would I'd go in there with 4 or 5 designs, and our artists would mock them up, and I'd have printouts. And I'd walk in there, and the guy that was in there ahead of me was showing the Colorado State buyer University of Wyoming designs. He says, "Oh, we can do this for Wyoming." We don't want to do that. It's really hard to compete with a company that has a sophisticated graphics capability. And that's why when you look at the more successful companies in our industry, what do they all have in common? They have a sophisticated graphics capability. And it was interesting. I had an appointment with the client, one of our newest customers yesterday, and they have 20 people in their office that have licenses for CorelDRAW. They have a license for 20 people for CorelDRAW. Isn't that crazy? And only 4 of them are artists. So the other 16 people are either members of their sales team or their front office team, because they're utilizing, they didn't even have GraphicsFlow. They were just using their own designs. They were doing these mock-ups for all their customers. And talking to the business owner, he was just like, yeah, this is our whole central principle of how we do things. We just try to out-graphic people. But he also had a really good point, and the point was, we by doing it more template-driven versus custom, I says we can be a lot more efficient. And I can't do one of these custom designs for everybody. I can take a template and mock it up, and they do a lot of work in the schools. I can do a template and mock it up and do a spiritware program, but I'm not asking my sales staff to do that. If it comes to that, we're going to have the art department involved. But he says, my whole goal, their whole goal was not having the art department get involved at this level, just letting the sales team do that. And I was like, man, you so understand and get this. And that's what I would be advocating to you. You don't have to have the art department doing this. Is something a front office person do. Any salesperson, the business owner can do this. You don't need to have a art department to do this. Your art department is if you have to do final production or you're doing creative or something of that nature. But here's our program. We've created it. So here's how I'm going to get it in front of the customer. You ready? I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to go and create a folder for Central HVAC. So I'm going to create a folder for them, and I'm going to upload all of the art assets for Central HVAC. Everything associated with that customer is going to get uploaded. The whole kit and caboodle. And whoops, what did I just do here? I just accidentally copied a whole bunch of these. And Corel's making a backup file, so I'm not going to upload the backups, but I'm going to upload everything else. So we're going to go ahead and upload all that art. And it's going to generate previews of the files. And the CDR files will have previews, but they're not going to be as sharp and as crisp as the previews that are from the PNG files. So I could show the customer the PNG files if I wanted to. But what I really want to do, our CDR files, excuse me, what I really want to do is create an experience for the client. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to create an art approval. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do Central Hvac, HVAC, proposal. I have not talked to the customer about pricing. I don't even want to talk to them about pricing at this point. All I want to do is have them see the artwork, sign off on it, because then we'll talk about pricing. I want to get them invested in the artwork. Get them invested in the artwork. Then, you have to be in the ballpark for pricing, but we're not playing the pricing game. We don't need to. We did this really cool custom piece of artwork for them. So we're going to go over here to My Art. I'm going to go to the central HVAC folder, and I'm going to add, might as well get the tumbler in there. So I'm going to put the tumbler in there. I'm going to put the bigger version of the graphic. I'm going to put the Oxford t-shirt, and then I'm going to also put the gray t-shirt. That's basically what we're going to upload. Is that everything I wanted? Yep, it is. So we're going to just add these files to the art approval. And so here at this point, what you're going to be doing is if you have any copy that you want to put in there, this would be a great place to do it. So let me show you how I would do that. So I would take this file right here, and so this is the corresponding graphic. I'd move that to the top, okay? And I could put this on a colored background if I wanted to, and I probably would. I would click on it and put it on a colored background, but I don't have to if I don't want to. It's up to me. And if I choose to watermark it at this point, I can watermark it. So I'm going to go over here and pick a colored background. I think we're in kind of a medium gray there. So we can go put it on a background, and then I am going to watermark this. So I'm going to click on text, and this watermark, I don't know if it's going to do a light or a dark color watermark. It might look better in light. And that's a global setting. So if I watermark it, I can watermark the entire document or like all of the documents, but I don't really need to do that. So that's what a watermark would look like. Then what I would do is I would move this to the bottom. The tumbler, I'm going to move all the way to the bottom. And then this right here, I don't really have to change the color on this one, but what I am going to do is going to put a note in here. Here's what the design would look like. Weathered overlay. Okay, so we're going to send that. You're going to subscribe the client to that. I'm just going to go share. I'm going to invite the customer to view it. Put whatever note I want in here. We're going to send them an invite, and they get this, and they really like the idea of black, but they don't like the overlay. So they come in here and says, "Love this on black, but no weathered effect." And they send me the comment. I'm notified by email. They have a confirming email. I also get notified in the app that there's a comment. Then I say, "Sure thing." Refresh your browser. Okay, so I'm just going to go in here and change this to black. It's easy enough to do. So just change it to black. And at that point, they refresh their browser, refresh, and then they're looking at the design in black. That quick. That's how we do it. I could go and update the virtual sim. There's really no reason to do that. And so at this point, we've kind of narrowed it down to what they're interested in, and they want to sign off and approve on these. They can go in and hit approve. Maybe they approved them all, and they go in and approve them. And you know what they have to click on when they do the final approval? My disclaimer. And the disclaimer says, all designs represented in this art approval are the intellectual property of Craig's Creations LLC. You are not permitted to take the artwork we created to other vendors. The unauthorized use of these designs is a violation of international copyright. And they're getting an email receipt that they clicked on this. That's creating a paper trail. And also, when this comes in, it's going to come into my art approvals as approved. I also have the paper trail here that all these have a paper trail. Every one of these that we do, there's a paper trail approved by date, timestamp. What you'd be inclined to do when you're all done with this is you're going to archive these. And the way you archive one, we'll archive this one right now. We'll just go over here and say, hey, let's move it into the archive. Now it's stored in the archive, and then we can go back to the archive anytime we want and look at it. So that's the basic workflow. So this is the concept I showed you here. The way we did this one, we did it by virtue of curating a set of artwork, getting the idea in front of them, and then kind of narrowing down the idea based on their input, localizing it to what they want, getting a couple looks in there, and then backloading. We backloaded the Tumblr. So the Tumblr just became a little backload, and it's like, hey, I didn't know you guys did Tumblrs. And you can do the same thing with embroidery too. You do exactly the same thing with embroidery. And you know, we have time, so we'll do that. I'll do an embroidery design next, and you see how we do it. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is you can, you know, think about it like this. The reason your customers go to all of these websites and look for artwork from, you know, Custom Ink or, you know, Etsy or a Pinterest page or random Google search or college bookstore website. The reason they go looking for inspiration for artwork from these sites is quite simply because you can't give them an alternative. And so they have to go, you know, you don't have an alternative. You know, some of our bigger customers, they have their own art libraries they can send them to. But you remember all that artwork from those, you know, we're looking at those graphic builders? Do you remember all that artwork? You know where that eventually goes? It goes in here. It goes into GraphicsFlow. And so if you go into design ideas and you want to see the graphics builder collections, and let's say you weren't comfortable just purchasing those, you just want to have them as part of your graphics builder subscription, you would be on either a pro or an elite subscription, and the graphics builders are available in your GraphicsFlow account, and you just download the ones you want when you want them. And 19 and 20, they haven't been added yet, but I think it goes tomorrow or either Thursday or Friday, we're adding 17 and 18. So when you go into your account, you're going to see the Christmas designs and the first responder designs. So all of that artwork is in here. And then what if your clients could go in and actually look at it? And by the way, if you want to isolate just the graphics builder collections, you can do it that way. You can just click on Pro Graphics, and this is all the graphics builders. And if you wanted to look for a specific collection, a little cheater code here, just type in GB in the name of the collection, like 07, which has got all the faith-based artwork in it. You can do it that way too. So a little cheat code there. So what if we could provide a resource to our client where they could look at the artwork? And let me show you how we do that. I'm in a pro GraphicsFlow account, and this is also available in an elite account. And if I go to my account settings now, I'm going to have a function called Art Portal. And I've uploaded my logo. I'm going to go to my Art Portal, and I'm going to enable it. It's going to create a hypertext link right here. Here I've got it. I added a link to my, you just add a link here. I added a link to my website right here. And the other thing I did is I set up notifications. So anybody that fills out the contact form, my portal comes into me, but maybe design requests go into the art department. Maybe that goes to Maddie. Display settings, I've customized the way my portal looks, and I'm going to change that a little bit. I'm not real happy with the green. I want to go with a little darker green on this. And we're going to make the green just a little bit darker there. And I'm going to update that. This is the copy and the heading in my portal. And this is the description of what my portal is accomplishing. And I can always reset that back to default if I made changes. This is embed code if I want to embed that portal into my website. So there's a personalized embed code for just your portal. And so what does my portal look like? This is what it looks like. Looks like this. And so now, yeah, I like that green better. So your customer can go through here, and if they're looking and searching for something, and they wanted to do a graphic, and let's say we wanted to do, well, we'll go back to patches, and well, hang on, I would do it by style. Yeah, I always forget you can type patches, and yeah, why not? You can just type patches in there. And maybe they wanted to do like an embroidered patch. They could submit that to me, and then I could go and modify that design. So let's say it was going to be, these are all cool, man. I got all kinds of good stuff to choose from. I'm going to come down. We're going to do it this way. We're going to get rid of this, and I'm going to go to style and go to patches. And we'll do that. We're going to do that same kind of concept as the HVAC one, but we're going to do it as a patch. And I'm just going to use this design. So what they would click on this, and they might say, hey, can you change this to central HVAC Tempe, Arizona, EST 1966 with our logo. Boom, they're gonna add it. They're gonna submit it. They're gonna put any notes on it that they need to. This is the modern way of working with your clients on artwork. And I don't use the word game changer really, but this is a game changer. That's not my real number. Okay, and they can put any need it yesterday. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm not a robot, I'm just gonna submit this. So this came into my GraphicsFlow account as an order. So when I go into my GraphicsFlow account now, this came in as an order, came in as a design request order. So I can click on this now and it says, okay, what's all the scoop? I can put internal notes in here. I can assign it to an artist or an individual. Assign it to Craig. I just got an email that said, hey, art's assigned to you. All the contact information, if I need to reach back out to them for clarification, I can just send an email from here. It'll just pop up my email client. I want to download the art. It says, can you change Hvac to okay, yeah, sure, I can do that. So we're just going to download the file, and I'm going to do it in production speed. I'm not going to do this in training speed. I'm going to do it in production speed, and I'll show you exactly how I do it. So the file would come in here. I'd go into Smart Designer. I would go into templates. I'd click on edit text. I would change Cascade to Central. I'd change pool service. Oh, actually, Central Hvac. I misspelled it again. Hvac. I would change pool service to Tempe. I would change Paradise Code to Arizona. EST, for consistency, I'm going to do EST. You don't always have to put, just FYI, you don't have to put a period after that, by the way. And as far as the logo goes, remember we have their logo already. I am going to move this over. And we already had that logo in here, so we can swoop that logo out of the other file. So I'm swooping that out. That bad boy's going in there, and let's make some embroidery. And what's so cool about the modern technology and what's going on, I'm not even worried about the colors. What's so cool about modern technology is I don't have to digitize anything. If I want to turn this into a patch or an embroidery design, I don't have to digitize this because technology's evolved. And the technology that I'm going to use to do this is called drawings. And a couple things before I make embroidery out of this. Number one, we always want to make sure that our colors are Pantones. So I'm going to go over here to color management. I'm going to click on convert to Pantone in Smart Designer. The only reason I'm doing that, and I can see there's two colors, so we can kind of save ourselves a little trouble by combining those if we want. But we could do that in the embroidery software too. Okay. Number two thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to object shaping here, or if I'm in Corel or Illustrator, I go convert to outlines if I was in Illustrator. Illustrator, I'd save it as an SVG file before I converted it to embroidery. Corel, we're going to drag and drop. And so I could go to object convert to curves, or in Smart Designer, just use the function for that. Convert to curves, and it scans the whole design and it converts all the text to curves. Why are we doing that? We don't want the text to get discombobulated when we convert it to embroidery. So I'm just going to come over here and I'm looking at the spelling. Everything looks good. I'm going to open up my drawing software. And I've got that very popular crafty looking retail look. I'm going to pick a generic multi-head embroidery hoop. We'll use a big old hoop here. I'm going to use a generic style of embroidery, kind of a tweener style, a normal preset, not heavy style of embroidery, not a light style, just a normal style. And I'm going to create a new document. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this design, I'm going to drag it and drop it into drawings right here. I'm going to size it up. We're going to do a patch for a cap, so we're going to actually do, and we're going to size that to its actual scale. So we want that to be about 3.75 wide. Okay. Don't really have to do anything. We're ready to go. If I'm going to sew this on a cap, the one thing I am going to do is a little trick here is I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to ungroup it. I'm going to get rid of this background element. And then I'm going to add that color as an outline. And I'm going to change that outline color to a satin stitch. And I'm going to thicken it up a little bit. And the reason I'm doing that is now I have the ability to control how much offset there is here, because this is going to be a patch. So in this case, we're going to actually have an embroidered patch versus applique. But right now, that line right there, that's kind of magenta, that's where the underlying stitches are, and we can control how much that overlaps just by going in here and moving this in or out. And that way we can avoid any kind of gap in the sewing. That's really important. We want to overlap that so you don't get a gap, because on a cap, the caps are tricky to sew on. So a couple things I'm going to do on this right here. I'm going to break these into individual letters. I'm going to break these into individual letters because I don't want them to sequence by letter block. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. That'll regenerate. I'm going to break that into individual letters. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to my optimizer and say, hey, you know what? Let's sequence this from the inside to the outside. Let's have it trim 0.02 inches. That's forced to trim on every object. So even where you see the jump stitches, it's going to trim if anything that's over a 0.5 millimeter apart. I want to have my endpoints at closest connection, so it jumps to object at the closest point. And we're just going to hit OK. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a slow redraw just to make sure everything's groovy. Yep, there's the base. There's that. It's tacking that down with that big fat satin. It's doing center out on the letters. And at this point, let's save it. We got a central Hvac folder. So let's save that bad boy. Okay, we're going to save it. Colors are actually good. I don't really even have to change the colors, but we could change it to Madeira thread here. So let's go back and change it to Madeira. And this color blue, I think we want to make that a little lighter. Yeah, we do. Okay. And then let's save it as an image file because we're going to get this in front of the customer. So we're just going to export this as an image file. So back to that good old folder that we had there. Central HVAC and Central HVAC patch. Boom, save it. Let's do a mock-up real quick on a cap. Why not? So let's go in and import the file. And let's do a mock-up. It should look really good. So let's see here. So now a customer that maybe wasn't even thinking of us for caps, maybe they weren't even thinking of us for embroidery. Now all of a sudden we get add-on sale because what we're doing is I got central pool in here. Oh, hold on, is that what I put in there? Central HVAC, yeah, all right. And they weren't even thinking of us for embroidery. Now they are, because I'm going to put it on a cap. So all I'm going to do now is just go back to my virtual samples, go over here to headwear, why not? And we're going to put that on a cap. Boom. Move that over a little, whoops, move that over a little bit. And you guys are all copied on this art approval, right? I believe you guys are. So what I can do now, you guys can actually see this. Have them look at that too. And the 3D rendering from this embroidery is so good, you cannot tell it's not the real thing. So we'll go back to art approvals, and I think the one that you guys were on was, I think the one you guys are all copied on is patch concepts here. So we'll just add it in there for fun. So we'll just go over here, and instead of uploading it to my folder, I'm going to do a direct upload. So I'm just going to go over here and just say direct upload, and we'll put the patch in there, upload that. And then we'll go and do the one that has the virtual sample on it too. And upload that. Refresh it. And this is what they're going to be looking at. And this is how you do commerce in the year 2021. And tell me that's not going to produce a sale. And let me show you the inspiration of that design. Was a design I did for one of my customers, needed some help on. And this is the design that he needed the help on. This one, it turned out really well. That was kind of the inspiration. That's it. So that's how we roll. So emulating retail graphic trends, finding out what's happening in the marketplace, creating relevant designs that, you know, people can relate to. It says, yeah, that looks like what I'm seeing on the sidelines. That looks like what I saw at the Four Seasons gift store. That's what I saw at the USC bookstore. That's what I saw at FM, H&M. That's what I saw. Trying to create relatable looks that are going to people will connect with. They said, yeah, that I want to look as cool as. And so if all you're doing is logos on stuff, you can't do that. You want to get ideas in front of your customers. You want to establish yourself as a creative resource. And so the tools that I used to do this was my GraphicsFlow account. It was tailor-made to do this kind of thing. Art Portal just made it quite a bit easier because I could just bounce my customer over to the Art Portal. But at the end of the day, you know, the company that has the best looking graphics is who's going to win in the marketplace. And frankly, not everybody has the financial resources to have a full-time graphic designer, which is going to cost you a pretty good chunk of change. You know, if you're outsourcing your digitizing for embroidery, that's fine, but you're probably not going to pay money to do a spec sample with the hope that you'll sell a person an embroidery hat. With the technology like drawings, you can just, you know, convert something to embroidery, no digitizing that file, so like a champ, and get ideas in front of your customers. So hopefully you guys have been inspired to utilize the tools at your resource to you know, really step up your game. And if you aren't involved in GraphicsFlow and you're interested in finding out more about it, I would certainly encourage you to reach out to us. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recorded portion of the webcast, and then we'll open it up for questions, which I see there's quite a few of them. All right.